That's a horrible line. I don't know if I'm going to keep that in. Anyway, what is fear? Fear in itself is the autonomic response to danger. Now, there's a difference. Fear, creepy. I had another one. Anxiety. That's what it is. Now, after you see this crudely drawn picture, I hope that you understand a little bit more. The autonomic response that is given through fear needs to be mirrored, if anything. Again, sorry about not trying to be a scientist here. I don't have a PhD in this, alright? Now, grazing over these topics, because I do not want this to be another hippocampus. And I don't know if I'm getting all this right. To be completely honest, I did a good amount of research, but 2 years of anatomy and physiology, we never learned on the brain. I can tell you all about the endocrine system, but yeah, a couple takes to say the least. Sensory cortex gathers all visual, hearing, everything else kind of data. Thalamus, right here. It's where it sends the sensory data as soon as it's gathered. Amygdala, it's where it retrieves and perceives that threat from either previous fear memories and or just in general. The thalamus, I'm not going to turn that around, that's unprofessional. Wait, no. Whatever, I can cut this. Am I going to cut this? I might cut this. Anyway, the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is right here. Wait, no, right here. The hypothalamus is said fight or flight response. Now, everyone should know what a fight or flight response is. If you don't, well then you've never either been in a confrontation, science class, and or... Nah, actually about covers it. I don't think you have fight or flight that often. You actually have it in every... Anyway, rambling. I have a structure to this video. I don't need to do this again. Now, there is a misconception I would like to clear up. Fear versus creeps versus anxiety. They all go hand in hand. They're all categorized about the same. But there are wholehearted scientific differences, such as things that are creepy are ambiguous, unknown. It is your body's specific defense against things that are unknown. Cognitive dissonance. Anxiety is the constant fear of future unknown. Now that is classified as a phobia, which is an actual mental disorder. It is in the same category. I put it there, personally. Again, huge opinion is going to go right about there. For not this entire thing, but probably right where I said it. It's a general point of view matter for discussion. The way I deem fear, true terror, is anything that's that is an autonomic response that requires a adrenal response directly after. Epinephrine, non-epinephrine, adrenaline, so on and so forth. I don't know why I quoted that. But, as I said, with fear being an autonomic response that requires an actual fight or flight, the main difference between fear and creepy is the unknown. Cognitive dissonance. That's the key phrasing for today. And I have it cited right there, not on the video, my little paper. Francis T. McAndrew and Sarah S. Kohenke, whatever. They are the people that have majorly found this discovery, or they're the ones that cited this discovery for themselves. However you want to put it, however you want to pronounce it. Fear. Fear in itself, I like to deem as a pointed matter. Yes, things that require adrenaline, but think about it. What requires an adrenal response? Fight or flight. Things that like bears, like whether or not you're about ready to fall off a cliff, which I'll get to that in another point in the video. Things like a gunman walking into your house, you getting mugged on the street. In fact, there are quite a few things that pointed to fear, which I'll get to here in a bit as well. But I deem fear as an actual, visceral response to something very much real at the moment. Not everything unknown is fake, granted, but not everything known is either. So, that's my point on fear. On the other hand, creepy can be a lot of things. Alright, take in, for instance, the chart of the Uncanny Valley. I did not draw that. I'm not going to. That takes too much time. I'll probably either put a picture of it or put a link. The Uncanny Valley picture is a stated picture that actually shows at one point things become creepy. And I'd like to make a point of this, that not everything on the chart will make everyone's specific preferences. I like to take a very philosophical approach to everything that I lay my eyes on. That's how you should, I believe. That's me personally, though, again, in my opinion, which I'm going to have a segment here that I just call it. Anyway, creepy. Creepy is like the high place phenomenon. High place phenomenon where your mind does not know exactly what to do in this moment. It has not been presented this moment beforehand, or if it has, it is uncertain of the outcomes of that moment. Therefore, at times you'll feel as if you're being pushed over. You'll feel as if, you're holding a baby in a car and you're sitting there going, I wonder what would happen if I toss this baby out into the side of the road while we're driving. Shit like that. That falls under the category of creepy because it is unknown to you, unless if you're in the business of throwing babies out of the car, which in that case, I'm wondering if business is booming. I imagine not so, but who knows, it might be a very tiny niche market for throwing children out windows. I digress. Ambiguity can be anything. It does not necessarily have to be that phenomenon. It could be things such as someone in a mask. It can be things such as people with abnormally large eyes, or teddy bears with teeth. It can be anything that is unknown. Take into consideration anxiety. It is an actual mental disorder. It is a phobia. Phobias are all considered in Alton County mental disorders. Now, this phobia is the fear of something unknowing in the future. Unknowing in the future. So, anxiety can take place to someone who has a fear of a nuclear apocalypse happening within the next couple years. It could take place to you feel as if you're going to get attacked by a bear within the next 10 days. If you are told right now, within the next 3 hours, a tiger is going to come into your room and it's going to maul you to fucking bits, you'd be pretty anxious. I mean, granted, some of you, again, it's all up to personal preference. It's all up to you as a person. You as a person, too. Jim. I don't know any Jims. Anyway. But, aside from that, it's a matter of unknowing. And that's kind of one of the key topics I'd like to touch on this entire video. People have a really bad fear of things that they don't know. We as humans are creatures that take comfort in knowing every little detail. We have to have the inner workings mapped out, because if we don't, then there is a sense of discomfort, cognitive dissonance. And in my research, I have found that a lot of people, far too many of them, are decategorizing all these things in dependency of not understanding the weight of cognitive dissonance. Things are creepy, and things can be fearful and creepy at the same time. Things can be creepy and you can be anxious at the same time. You can be anxious and fearful, but that usually comes along the lines of you knowing what the fuck's gonna happen and just waiting for it, because you don't know when. Modern philosophy, you gotta love it. Now, I have taken the liberty of taking James Gear and the recent poll from James Gear's Fear Survey Schedule 2, and I mashed a couple things up. Don't get mad at me, because again, this is mostly in my philosophical points of view. Now, I have taken most of these, mashed them up, and put them under certain categories. Cognitive dissonance, creepy, or fear. A real, visceral, adrenal, guaranteed response. I don't know if you can even read this, but as you see, there's almost a common theme. If you can't see, I'm going to have to mirror this. Crap. I'm going to read them out. Now, in the beginning, your death, death of a loved one, both of those. They're both fearful and creepy due to a certain thing of relevant situation. Relevant situation in meaning that your death, you could be creeped out by it, you could be anxious by it even, because you don't know when it's going to happen, or you're in the middle of getting slaughtered. Both of those, keep those ideas in mind. Same with death of a loved one. It could happen at any moment, or you could be witnessing one pass away at this very moment. Being alone. Being alone is along those same lines. But I have to say, that's only creepy, no matter the situation. It does not grant a adrenal response every single time. Even if you are in the midst and you know a killer is on his way, you being alone is not going to kill you. You don't know what's going to happen. You're going to gain a large portion of unknown in that area, whether or not he's going to catch up to you, whether or not he's going to find you. But it's not going to kill you. Alright? Bear with me here. Criminal gang violence. Suffocation. Both of those are very fearful. Now, you can be creeped out by gang violence and stuff like that, but hear me out. How often do you have to have paranoia of walking through a town and honestly feel like you're going to constantly be attacked? That is anxiety at that point, and like I previously stated in a previous part, not necessarily fear or creepy. They can all three exist at the same time. Two can exist with each other, but that does not make them all the same fucking thing. Alright? Bear with me. Suffocation. Pretty visceral. You can have the fear of suffocation, yes. You can be anxious about suffocating at any point. Like, the reason why some people sleep on their sides, because they're afraid that if they sleep on their back, they'll swallow their tongue or something stupid. That's on them. Suffocation is in itself as an act. It's going to kill you. 9 times out of 10. Apparently one time you become immortal. Anyway, nuclear war, terrorist attacks. Both of these, fearful and creepy. Now, they're creepy because you have no idea what's going to happen. During a nuclear war, everyone could become X-Men, or you could all get blown to smithereens, even though we've had previous tests. If the scientific method has ever taught us anything, you don't know what the outcome's going to be no matter what. You can recreate experiment 50 times, and on the 51st time something new happens. That's quantum mechanics for you also. Has had, will have, if time was perceived as actually was, grammar professors wouldn't have a reason to get up in the morning. Anyway. Snakes and spiders. Yes, you can be creeped out by them. But that is also in the unknowing aspect of not having major interaction, things like that. No, you are fearful of them. Fearful. Fearful. Because they have the ability to hurt you. And in a lot of aspects, they have. Either you or your previous ancestors. It's that simple. Things that are that pointed and obvious deserve to have a simplistic explanation. Anyway. Being self-conscious, not being successful, public speaking, and looking foolish. I'd like to ask you one point in your entire life, yes, including you, Bill, now it's Bill, that you have ever had a fight or flight moment from not being successful? I mean, granted, you could argue, anyone can argue, that not being successful could, also apply to you trying to get that box that's slowly filling up with water on your head, or not, or public speaking could be in front of a group of new aliens. But at that point, I believe it would fall under a new category. Everything is subjective within its moment. Oh, a spider. Anyway, my favorite. The future. Now, the future in itself is the epitome of the unknown. It is a philosopher's downfall, because just as anyone that knows the fallacy of the green emerald, they've always been green before, but it is never certain if emeralds will continue to be green in the future. Anything can happen. The future is the epitome of creepy, and I love it. I fucking love it. There is a genetic predisposition that everyone maintains. A need to fear things that can hurt you, or that have previously hurt you. Things that have, been passed down from generation to generation, such as whenever your great whatever ancestor got killed by a tiger. Therefore, inherently, you fear tigers. It's a natural response. You see the tiger and you go, that shit has really sharp claws, I'm not going near it. There's also the thing of, on the same token, genetic dominance. You have those responses due to the fact that your ancestor in himself either had to learn, or learned by watching someone else get torn apart by a tiger, going, hey, that thing has razor sharp claws, I'm not going near it. It's a tit for tat. You either get hurt, or your ancestors have gotten hurt, so that way you can learn a autonomic response to not do that. It's pretty simple. That's what genetic predisposition is. Now, previous memories that you have, previous memories that they have, are all what link up. So, in that same token, things that are creepy, things that are unknown, what and why do you have cognitive dissonance towards that? And then why do you have a defense mechanism? That's because there is 9 times out of 10, either people that you have seen, people your ancestors have seen, people that your parents have seen, one way, shape, or form, that they don't know what has hurt, they don't know what has killed. And in that lack of knowledge, you now have an innate sense of, don't do that, or whenever something is unknown, you get creeped out. The more ambiguous something is, the more your body tends to stray away from it. Yeah. The mind takes this ambiguity with stride, though. You have a 10-second grace period automatically built into your mind that innately allows you to learn from that and to attempt to try to figure out what's going on. That 10-second grace period. 10-minute grace period. I'm sorry, I'll cut that. Or not, I'll probably just add some text showing I'm an idiot. That 10-minute grace period is your body's natural defense mechanism against the unknown. Not just things being creepy and that response that you get. But it's a window of opportunity to fight against that and to learn more. It's your body's way of saying, hey, go check it out. If you've ever wondered why people in movies and people that are in every single scare movie, slasher, whatever, they always go and idiots that go, what's that? I want to go check it out. Oh, that's why. Their mind's 10-minute grace period is fighting over the want for a revelation as opposed to their fear of the unknown. Now, I hate to be that guy, but sometimes I tend to agree with certain movies, don't you? In my opinion. This is going to be my favorite portion of every video, actually. Because, in my opinion, I usually try to take the most unbiased approach. I might actually insert a little clip there from a previous video. I know, stop screaming before anyone watches this. I get it, but I was trying to make a pointed view of my own character. I'm going to just roll off some topics, see what I think, see what you think. Please feel free at any point to leave a comment down below and tell me what you think. Please. You know, in any case, I would love an interlocker, someone that I can actually go back and forth with and talk about this stuff. I crave it. No one in my area actually likes to discuss anything. They'll just assume they're arguing. Anyway, I digress. Why is it that people have this need to overcome this natural autonomic response? Now, why do people want to stop being afraid of things? Well, I'm going to play my own devil's advocate and say that there are many things that people should try to get over. Things that are irrational, such as a major fear of teddy bears. It, even though, falls within the category of creepy due to the fact that it can be unknown. I would also bet that not many people have bad experiences with teddy bears. You know, I don't think how many people might be actually haunted. That's a very good point. Some people might have bad experience. There is good reason for people to want to stop being afraid of certain things, or creeped out by certain things, or have an irrational fear. And this is where I'm going to put most of my anxiety talk into. Oddly enough, during my philosophical points. Isn't that hilarious? Now, one thing I would like to point out is that you might believe you have anxiety, a phobia, and you might. But let me ask you this. Does anything that make you anxious bring you to the point of breaking to your knees? Does it make it to where you are unable to go outside and perform main daily tasks? Are you so afraid of germs that you wash your hands to an obsessive-compulsive level? Anxiety, OCD usually go very much hand in hand. On the same token, people that generally want to stop being afraid tend to over-exaggerate their own phobias, their own anxiety, and they lead to something that I like to call complete disregard for your own humanity. You become fearless, or try to make yourself fearless, and all of a sudden you hit the point in the wall of you're going to get yourself fucking killed. It's as simple as that. No one person should be fearless. You can envelop yourself into the idea of fear, but no one in themselves should be fearless. It is an innate response given to your mind, so that way you don't do anything bad to hurt yourself, such as your mind's ability to not bite off your own fucking finger. That would be not in your best interest. Or your minds want to run into a bear den because you want a close-up shot. You can disregard it, but being fearless by any means is not something to be proud of. Now, I'd like to bring up a small debate, whether or not the things that are feared are generally passed down through genetics. Some may argue yes, but I would like to again play devil's advocate for myself and say, what if no? In that case, would failing one of the things that people just utterly fear in themselves, they get creeped out, they don't know how that's going to go, is that not your body's main way of saying we need to learn? If you cannot do something right flawlessly every time, there has to be a reason built into yourself that goes without saying. Now, on that same token, is an adrenal response necessary for having fear? You know, is it always needed? No, I guess not necessarily. but your body's pretty good at guessing whether or not it should act with fight or flight. Only in times where you actually truly do have a mental disorder and or something wrong with you does your body mistake it for anything else. We live in an age of information. Not necessarily everything that may induce creepy feelings, cognitive dissonance, or fear may be able to actually reach out and touch you. In this society, we have things such as videos, found footage, creepypastas even, and all of these things may give you a feeling of either cognitive dissonance or, in very rare cases, can sometimes enact that adrenal response. Now, is that adrenal response necessary? No, by any means. It should not be necessary. But the question I'd like to ask you is, with all this grouping of information, the ability to research, the ability to find things that make you afraid, can they truly not touch you? Final point I would like to bring up. If fear is addictive, is the feeling of being afraid addictive? What about cognitive dissonance? Are creepy things addictive to the mind? Well, I mean, to a certain extent. Now, adrenaline for adrenal junkies can be found in any which way. So you could argue that point, the fact of they're not going online and listening to scary stories just to get a fix of adrenaline. So what would have to bring people back? I would like to make a small statement of admiration for the unknown. Not necessary to say that it is a junky thing. Some people can get addicted to anything, so long as it enacts oxytocin, endorphins, so on and so forth. If in your mind you label something as making you happy, or if your personal preference is to enjoy it, no matter what the feeling is, I believe you can train your body, you can train your mind to gain a certain addictive quality to cognitive dissonance. If it's adrenaline you're after, then yes, fear. There are people that do it every day. I personally do enjoy a good scare every now and then. But that's just my opinion. In conclusion, fear is your brain's autonomic response to fight or flight, anything that could be possibly dangerous. Creepy is in itself cognitive dissonance, the uneasy feeling in your brain's natural response to the unknown. I drew a crappy picture about the brain, did a horrible job explaining it, and in the end I got to give my opinion on a couple of different matters. So, I do hope you enjoyed. And in any case, if it means anything to you, stay afraid. Hello again. Oh crap, the fans. Please be sure to like, subscribe, anything else, share it, that would be helpful. And no matter which video that you're watching, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much once again.